Welcome, everybody, to another episode of A1 Agents. Today's guest is somebody that I've wanted to have on this series for quite a while. He's been somebody that has been a mentor of mine in this space from my very first insurance conference. He's become my friend ever since. I've been in masterminds with him. He's somebody that I just really look up to, and I'm honored to have you on
No,
today's
likewise, my
show.
friend. Appreciate that.
So Dave, thank you. For those of you guys that don't know Dave, just a quick bio. Dave's the founder and force behind Fifth Degree Academy, which we'll dive into. He's also the CEO of Team Hired. And for those of you guys know, I've raved about Team Hired for the longest time. It's the only way I hire. But prior to building these companies, he built an outstanding insurance agency. I mean, just one heck of an agency, high performing in the East Coast. And he's also a big investor in real estate. He's a father, husband, amazing man of God. And so, Dave, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate it for having me, brother.
Yes, sir. So, Dave, before we get into your story, I wanted you to just really quickly just talk about what you have coming up here on August 18th, 2023. Some records are going to be broken. You're doing something amazing for
Yeah,
the
we're going to
world.
be making history. So it's a big passion project of mine. I'll get more into it later. But, real quick before I start my story, it's right behind me, the Elevate experience, because I got a real passion for helping youth. And you'll find out why I have a passion for helping youth as I tell my story. But I think most parents in America believe that there's opportunity when it comes to our education. And that's not knocking school, but we all know that there's opportunity when it comes to delivering the right things to set our kids up for success and to elevate them in life. So, I've been blessed to build a lot of relationships with many mentors and invested, over $500,000 over the past decade, building relationships, mentors, going to masterminds. Now, many of them I call my friends. Mentors I've worked with for a period of time, some of them business partners. And, I was reflecting one day and thought, hey, you know what? One of the ways I advanced was always a people. It was always a who moment in my life. And always great mentors I was blessed with. And I was like, I wish I had that starting earlier. Where would I be in life if I had that earlier when I was a kid? And then light bulb went off. I'm like, what if we did that first ever mastermind for kids, teaching them the things they don't teach enough in school: faith, family, freedom, finances, fitness. And we figured out what's a good way we could get it out to the marketplace. Let's throw a free event, completely free, totally free for the community, 2 days, August 18th and the 19th, where we got some of the top speakers in the world. And I'm talking about top speakers in the world, like Eric Thomas charges $100,000 an hour in itself. Every other speaker is probably up about $50,000 an hour. We got people from Tim Story, the comeback coach, works with Robert Downey Jr., coach to the stars. We got Del Nil Delgado, Gloria Mayfield Banks. We got Dave Meltzer, who they based the movie Jerry Maguire off of. We got social media influencer, philanthropist Jimmy Darts, Jim Quick, the brain coach, and so many more. Mark Lack, Cole Hatter, Make Money Matter. We got an incredible lineup to pour in the youth. And the coolest part about it is it's a 2-day event, but on the 19th, write this down, 3 p.m., go to www.elevate.kids, completely free. Put your name in there. That puts you in the world record database, and you can make history with us, where we're trying to break a Guinness World Record. Anybody can be, even though it's a youth conference, the message is going to be geared towards adults, parents, youth, kids, you name it. And they're going to be pouring their hearts, and we're going to make history together and really get our name on the map. Don't have to be there the full 5 hours. Just show up and be a part of history with us. But that's the Elevate experience. And again, I'll get more into that later, but I'll start off with my story. So, I'll rewind you back because I think it plays real well into, really my why and my passion behind this project. Back to when I was a young buck, just young David Williams. So I started out as a kid. I would say I had a lot of adversity that I dealt with because I had, and a lot of labels that I came across in my life from many different places. So I was labeled with a learning disability. I was labeled with severe ADHD. I was told I wouldn't amount to much unless I took up a trade in life because I wasn't academically strong. I got bullied as a kid. The combination of all those things between the bullying and everything else turned into severe anxiety. So as you can see, as a kid, I was dealing with a lot of different challenges. But luckily, I was blessed with good parents that just didn't allow me to become who my labels were. They came in and fought. They didn't allow me to be medicated. They didn't allow me to be labeled. So I was blessed with really good parents that kind of advocated me on my behalf. But, you know, when it came to things like academics, I would see kids, they would get the A's and B's and it would come natural to them. But me, I had to do really, really hard because I just learned differently than most. And it took me, you know, maybe 10x the effort to just be a C student. And, you know, they say in life, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. And that's, you know, that's an important thing. But when I was a kid, I didn't even have, you know, 5 friends, let alone the right 5 friends. So I had to find something to devote all my time and energy in. And I found a deep love for the game of baseball and really loved the game of baseball. But the only thing was I loved the game, but I didn't have a lot of God-given talent. And while other kids, you know, did, and it seemed to come easy, it was a real struggle for me. You combine that with, you know, anxiety and some of these other things, it was just a real big challenge. I had a brother growing up, similar circumstances. You know, he was labeled. I started hanging around with the wrong crowd, was disruptive in school. And he's part of the reason why, you know, we're doing this academy, because he went down the wrong path. Even though he had great parents, you know, both my parents were amazing. Sometimes 1 or 2 parents isn't enough, and sometimes it takes a village. And that's what it was in my brother's case. He just got the wrong influence in his life, started hanging around with the wrong 5 people, took him down a path of getting in trouble with the law, took him down a path of hanging out, dating the wrong girls, and then got into addiction and drugs. And, you know, unfortunately, that just continued on throughout his life. And, you know, my brother's no longer with us, but my parents fought tooth and nail to try to get him on the right track. And he was just so engulfed, because anybody that's dealt with addiction, if you've done it personally or you dealt with it in your family, it can be, it gets its grips on you and it's tough to pull away from. And that was the circumstance of my brother. But with my parents, you know, I look back, you know, they were my first mentors, I would say, in life. And they're also my heroes, because I very easily could have gone down a similar path as my brother. And when they saw that, they literally, my dad, you know, was an entrepreneur. He actually started a second business and he worked around the clock to afford the things he couldn't afford. Same with my mother. She had a gift basket business. He did gutters and snow plowing. And I would literally watch my dad work 7 days a week, operate on maybe 4 hours sleep most nights, just to keep getting it in, and just to afford the things he couldn't afford, keep myself busy, hire baseball coaches for me, tutors for me, keep my sister busy and singing and dancing. So that's why they're my heroes. They never bought things for themselves. They never put new clothes on their back. They never took vacations, and they never saved for retirement. So as I started to see that along the way, I was super blessed, super grateful. And, you know, I wanted to do something, didn't know what that looked like. I was just a kid that, you know, we're paying back one day. So they invested in baseball lessons for me because I loved the game so much, and ended up meeting my next mentor. You know, and I think, you know, as you're going to see, the common theme here that goes on throughout my story is every time my life elevated personally, it was always a who moment. It was always somebody else entering my life that gave me that extra it factor that took me to the next place that I wanted to go. So when I came in, started working with my Coach Tillinghast was his name. We called him Coach T, his son, Freddie. You know, they luckily really reinforced a lot of the same core values and principles my parents did. They taught me hard work. You know, I learned from my dad, my parents, you know, hard work, just watching them through osmosis. You know, there was never a harder working man I've ever met in my life until this day. And, you know, my coach taught me things like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. So because I didn't have a lot of friends, I literally just poured all my time, energy in the batting cages, and I would go in there day after day. I love hitting the ball, and I would do it till my hands bled, blistered up. And I started to quickly realize I got better and better. Still wasn't, you know, I still had kids, felt like they weren't putting in the effort that I was, and they were above me. But very quickly, I started to learn the gap started to close. And the way that I could close the gap in between the lack of God-given talent that I had and the talent that these other kids possessed was to outwork them like a freaking animal. And that's what I started to do, is just relentlessly outwork them. Before I knew it, you know, it didn't happen overnight, but took a number of years. Ended up playing my senior year of baseball, made the high school team, batted .420. That got me noticed by some scouts. Got into a tryout with the Braves, didn't make it very far through that, but it's led me to college, playing college ball and fulfilling my dream to play college baseball. That also didn't come easy because, there's a lot of talent. All of a sudden, my talent was up here when it came to high school, but I went into college, it was a different game. But I started to pick up patterns too and realized that, hey, people in college, what do they want to do? They want to go out and party. And the tryouts were a 6-week tryout. They were relentless. Like you were up at 4:30 in the morning, ran you so hard they put a garbage can in the middle of the gym where people get sick. So what I did is I just kept working, putting in the work. I was running it while everybody else was partying. I was running at night. I was practicing just like an animal. And very quickly I saw people start to drop off. They couldn't cut it in the morning. They couldn't make the practices. And then by the end, ended up making the cut on the team, and I was one of the last ones standing. Played a year of college baseball, and then that dream was kind of cut short. Ended up having an injury with my arm, and it was my first, I guess, pivotal moment in life. I had to figure things out because my dream, I wanted to play pro ball, and I put everything I loved into baseball. But there came to that point where I knew the chapter was closing, and I had to figure something else out. My parents always told me, one of two things. If I was living under their roof, I had to be in school or I had to get a career. I had went through school. So what I attempted to do based off the labels that were put on me was because I was told I needed to work with my hands. I went and got a certification in tool and die. And that's not knocking tool and die. It's a great trade. It just wasn't great for me. I didn't have passion in it. So I went out to do it. They didn't want to pay me a lot. You had to earn your way up just like anything. But it was something that, I'm already starting at the bottom. I don't have a lot of passion for it. I wanted to do something else. So I went and asked for help. And I think it's important to ask for help in life, and knocked on the door of a friend. What I thought was going to be a part-time job, he got me a job in an interview at Circuit City. And it was actually kind of interesting. The interview he got me was to install car stereos in the back of the road shop. But I think, God had other plans for me. I'm a big believer in faith, as you can see, believe. And God had other plans because when I went in for that interview, here I am, I'm interviewing. Hey, have you ever installed stereos? Oh yeah, I've done that. And then all of a sudden I see my buddy walk in the middle of the interview. He's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I'm fixing this hack job of a stereo install that you did. And he was actually coming in to get his car repaired from the bad job that I did installing the stereo. So they go to me and they're like, all right, this interview's done for an installer, but you took our assessment and you passed our personality profile for sales with flying colors. We have an open position on the sales floor. Would you like it? I'm like, sure. Never done sales before, but let's do it. So I came in and here I was, a little bit of fear, excitement, starting something new. Thought it was going to be part-time. Thought I was starting completely over. But I think what I began to realize is the foundation, the muscle I built around just relentless work ethic, that wasn't common. It was uncommon when it came to, the average person that out there. So what I learned quickly. Started hustling, running around circles around people. Very quickly became the top salesperson, not only in my store, but in the company. My district manager, he became my next mentor, recognized my relentless will to win, started taking me under his wing and teaching me leadership skills and lots of other things. And before I knew it, I actually got promoted and became one of the youngest store managers in Circuit City history. And was 21 years old, running a $24 million superstore. But here I was freaking out, never hired people before, never trained people before. And all of a sudden I'm standing up in front of everybody running meetings. All of a sudden I got to hire people. All of a sudden I'm responsible for this massive store. So I started working around the clock, putting in big days, 12, 16-hour days, just so I could learn quickly. And all of a sudden, I started getting momentum in my career the same way I got momentum in other places. Academically, I started to win. When I started to win in baseball, it was that work ethic that was a rare commodity that I found that I started to really embrace in my career. And then before I knew it, I became, I guess you'd call me the Navy SEAL kind of assassin to go around to stores that were very opportunistic or dying stores. And they would have me come in to be the turnaround guy. They would drop me in. I'd get one store really rolling, put me in another one, turn around, fix it, on to the next. Eventually ended up working at a corporate innovation team, flying to home office while running a store, coming up with new business concepts. So here I am. I'm like, hey, career's going great. starting to make more money. I'm going to move up, maybe become a DM, regional manager. Felt like my career was on the right track. Then what happened? You know what? It's life, right? Life hits us. All of a sudden, the unexpected happened. I had another setback, but this time it was my health. I woke up one day and my back, I just had severe back pain, and I don't know what was going on. Started pushing through it. It just kept getting worse to the point where I could like barely move. And then one morning I woke up and I couldn't walk. My ankles swelled up, my toes swelled up. I was on crutches coming into work, and they saw me just hobbling in. They're like, "What's going on with you?" I didn't know. So they told me, "You got to go get well," forced me off on short-term disability, which wasn't what I wanted to do. And here I am in a peak of my career, felt like I'm on the right track. And now I got this setback, and I'm scared because I'm on crutches and I'm a young buck and trying to figure out what's going on. Eventually found out, got diagnosed. I had a very severe autoimmune condition called ankylosing spondylitis. It's very debilitating. Most people end up on long-term disability, dangerous meds. And that's the outlook that my doctors pays me. So here I am again in the midst of this setback. I'm being labeled again. Dave, just the reality of your condition, you're going to end up being on long-term disability at some point. You need to accept that, is what my doctors were telling me. Dave, you're going to be on meds for life. You're going to have to accept that. And it's always going to be a different cocktail of meds, so we can try to have you the best quality of life as possible. But I knew deep down, like, I was possessed for more. God wanted me to have more. I wanted more. That wasn't the life that I wanted to have. I looked at my wife, and me living on a couch just wasn't in my DNA. So it starts to get to the 6 months amount of work. I'm still in rough shape health-wise, but they couldn't hold my job any longer. So I had this crossroads, and I could either stay on disability, and that was going to be my life, or I could just get up and push through the pain and get there. I was at least walking again, but I was in a tremendous amount of pain and wasn't in my peak condition for sure. Forced myself to get back to work before I was ready. And now I'm in a very tough situation, because while I was not getting paid for 6 months, got behind on my mortgage, I was broke. And then start slowly getting back in the swing of things, start to get a little momentum, feeling a little bit better, just back into a routine. And then the unthinkable happened. Man, at this point, it felt like I'm backed in the corner of a boxing ring, and I'm taking left hook after left hook after left hook, because a customer walks in the store and says, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "What do you mean? What are you sorry about?" And they're like, "You don't know? It was just on the news that Circuit City announced we're going Chapter 11. They're going to be laying off 25,000 people. We're going to close every single location." So that's how I found out, was from a customer. We thought that, things were going okay and we were in the right direction based off of our calls. But now I was just shook. I was devastated, because my health, my financial well-being, and my career are all gone. And it's like literally everything I felt that I worked for was just erased, and I had a dry slate. So I got home, man. I was just crushed. I went home, just kind of bawled to my wife. I didn't know what was going on. Like, life just kept hitting me. And I prayed on it. And, I thought about it, and I thought back to, what one of my coaches taught me once, is like how we can look at fear and face fear sometimes, because I was very fearful at the time. And we can define it as, one of two ways. We can forget everything and run, or we can face everything and rise. And I knew my wife counted me, like, creating a great life for her. I was the provider coming in. My parents, I knew that I had to be the one. I always wanted to be my hero's hero. And I knew I had to be the one that changed the trajectory in my family tree, that created a different path for us, that brought wealth that could take care of them in their older years, and then live a life on my own term for my health, because, I knew I couldn't work for somebody else anymore on somebody else's terms, because my health just didn't support it. But I knew if I could work and do something on my own terms, that I could do. And I possessed some skill sets now, and I just had to figure out what I was going to do. So I did something crazy next. I had no idea. I'm broke, no money in my account. I wrote a check for $1 million. $1 million. Put it on the wall, and it wasn't about the money, but I framed it and I hung it on the wall. And I told my wife, I'm going to look at this every single day as a visual, because I got to figure out how to cash that check one day, because that's our way out. That's how, like, we're going to have the life that we deserve to have. That's how I'm going to take care of my parents. And that's how I'm going to get my health on track, is I got to cash that check. But I was so far away from even thinking about how I was going to cash that check. I just, had no clue. So I prayed on it some more, leaned into my faith. And then in a twist of fate, multiple events happened. And I believe really strong. When we pray a lot of times, sometimes we think that, hey, it's just going to poof happen. And we wonder why God doesn't answer our prayers. And I believe that does happen time to time. Miracles happen to the right people all the time. But I believe more times than not, our prayers are answered in the form of opportunities. And we just got to be tuned into them. We got to recognize them and we got to take action. And I think that's around us all the time when our prayers are being answered. So I prayed on it. All of a sudden, I talked to a friend of the family that was in the insurance business, was doing really well, was with Allstate, making a lot of money. And it was my first encounter with passive income. I'm like, what? You built a business and now you're getting paid in your sleep? Sign me up. Like, I want to do that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start an insurance agency. So I just went in. What do I got to do? Get my license? All right. I'm going to start doing my license at night while Circuit City's going out of business. Everybody's immediately, Dave, you're crazy. Don't do that. Go find another job somewhere. Take some time off of work. Most businesses fail, let alone you're not in a good health condition. You don't have money, Dave. You're surely going to fail. But I still knew deep down, like I had to trust my instinct because I wanted more. And in the midst of all these labels trying to be applied to me again, just kept pushing through, prayed on it. And then one day I come in and then I notice a shingle being taken down inside of the shopping mall that the Circuit City store was. And it was just maybe just a little over 20 feet away. It was an insurance agency that just closed their doors. It was across from a DMV. So to me, like that was another sign from God answering my prayers. Here's an opportunity. There's an insurance agency that was already there and they just took the shingle down. It was built out for an insurance agency and it was across from the DMV. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to open up an insurance agency there. Only problem was I had no money. And you need money to start a business. You need capital to start an insurance agency. So continued to pray on that one. I had to figure out the money situation, being in a place where my bank account was the lowest it's ever been, still dealing with these health struggles. And one day in a twist of fate that liquidators came in and they said, Dave, all the open merchandise, we just need to blow out pennies in the dollar. Let's just clear it out, get rid of it. And it was almost as if it was a reflex. It wasn't even my own words. Like God gave me the words and I just said, what if I just bought it all? What if I made it easy? And I just bought it all from every Circuit City store within 4 hours of here. They agreed. I took the last $7,000 of my name out of my 401k after I paid the fees and filled up truckloads of electronics from remotes to power cords to Bose systems to TVs, camcorders I got for pennies in the dollar. So excited about it that I don't think I had a conversation with my wife. I just showed up and filled the living room. She came home and was like, what is going on? Where's my living room? And when am I getting it back? And I'm like, just trust me. And this is our way out. She's like, all right, you haven't led me astray yet, so I'm going to trust you. So started in between getting my license, in between closing down a store, started inventory and cataloging all this stuff, even bought kiosks and gondolas where I turned my basement into a little mini Circuit City and inventoried it all. And then did what any, entrepreneur or future entrepreneur would do, started to hustle and started to list all that online on eBay. I was able to pay off all my debt, raise the minimum capital I needed to start my first insurance agency, show them that dollar amount, which back then was only $25,000. And that's not a lot to operate off of because now all of a sudden I'm putting deposits down on leases. I have to have 2 staff to start with, hire 2 people that lost their job with me at Circuit City, starting to pay payroll. I'm starting to do all this and that. And I'm seeing the bank account deplete. And then I had to go down to, New York City for training. So I'm driving down in my beater. So I didn't want to fly, saving as much money as possible. Carpooled with somebody to share the gas. Had no AC, so we sweat all the way down there. And then I get down there and there's literally a mutiny going on in my sister's apartment because she lived down there. So I wanted to stay with her so I could save on the hotel. But there's like literally this dispute over the energy bill. And there's a strike going on around the air conditioning. So I'm in here, it's the dead heat of summer, sleeping on an air mattress, and I could barely get ready because as fast as I would get ready, it's like 100 degrees in this apartment, and I would melt as fast as I would get ready for training. And I pushed through that for like the 4 weeks, get back. Trainer comes in and excited, and fear is kicking in at the same time because it's like go time. The bank account is dwindling and dwindling. Here's the exciting moment. And now the trainer's telling me, well, we got to train for 2 weeks before you start selling. I'm like, no, that's not what's going to happen because my bank account says otherwise. And I just need to hustle. And then you can teach me while I'm figuring it out. So that's exactly what I did. Started ripping people out of line at the DMV I remember my first customer to this day that I did that with, Geraldo Hernandez. Pulled him out of the line, the DMV. It took me literally 4 hours, like in the freaking DOS-based computer system that they had at the time with All-Star or whatever it was. And to sign up his policies, that should have took, 30 minutes. But he's super patient with me, but I learned fast. And then they saw, like my team members saw that level of hunger, that urgency. So through osmosis, they started to elevate and be, 50, 60% of me. And they started to hustle. They started hitting the phones. They started grabbing people, because it's tough not to do that when the boss is like just all in. And what was motivating me at the time was I was acting as if somebody was trying to take it away from me 24 hours a day. That dream that I was just starting, I knew that if I didn't hit revenue going quick, starting as a scratch agency, like I was going to be done like that. And that's what everyone's telling me. They're like, good luck. Everybody crashes. Good luck. Everybody goes out of business. So before I know it, that relentless work ethic that, again, I thought I was starting over, but I had a base foundation of, again, I go back to my academics, I had to put in the work. I go back to my baseball, I had to put in the work. I go back to Circuit City, I had to work like a dog. And then I come into this, and then all the things that all my past mentors taught me about, hard work, work ethic, leadership, influence, salesmanship, all those things just kick in like second nature, and I start dominating. And all of a sudden I become one of the, top agencies in the state. Before I know it, we're one of the top in the region, and we're crushing it. We're getting momentum. And then that momentum, fast forward, we grew it to a multi-location, $20 million operation. Along the way, I looked at that check every day, and I stuck in the frame. I still got it in my office here today. Remind me where I came from. I stuck in the frame my unemployment card. So I would stay humble, stay hungry, and use that not only to inspire myself, but to motivate me, because I never want to go back to that place again. Like I was just in the deepest, darkest pits of despair in my life, and I never wanted to go there again. And that fear, it felt like that life was chasing me always. Still to this day, I'll wake up sometimes and I feel like that life is still chasing me. I never want to go back there, and it just keeps me running. And I had a goal to cash that $1 million check by the age of 35. I did it 6 months early at 34 and a half. I was going to do it in 5 years. I did it in 4.5. And then when it comes to being my hero's hero, you might all wonder, did that happen? Well, that was God's grace and God's blessing. It did. Bought my mom and dad first brand new car, brand new Cadillac. Bought them every insurance trip, took them on some of the most beautiful places in the world. Their vacations, they couldn't go on because they sacrificed everything for me. And then took care of all their bills. And then just recently, within the past couple of years, proudest moment of my life, got to move my parents here with us in Sarasota, Florida, and then pay cash for a brand new retirement home for them right up the street.
That's freaking awesome, man.
So that was my moment. I felt, hey, I made my hero's hero, made my dad proud, my mom proud. And I ended up exiting that first company. Things were changing in the landscape, and just for me, the writing was on the wall to do something different. I had about 7 key employees who were on development plans to own their own agency. They were ready. They wanted to go out. Felt like things were becoming, just at the time, a little bit less entrepreneur for me. And there was more, because I'm a creator at heart. I love creating. And then it was at another crossroads. I decided, you know what, if they're going to sell, might as well be me. Let me sell to them. My wife will stay in the business. And sold out to them, took the cash. And it was like rewind to that Circuit City day. Fear kicked in. I'm like, oh, wow, got it. Got some good money that came in, and I got to be the bank for the rest of it. But now I'm starting over again. What am I going to do now? I'm like out of the insurance game. But then quickly did I realize all the skills that I built almost in that past decade, all the people that I met, the mentors that I met, dude, just built me into a different human. So then I decided to go in power of partnerships, go in a partner. We started a recruiting company, Team Hired, became one of the top recruit using our processes that helped us in our insurance agencies, became top company, recruiting company in the insurance space. Got back into the insurance game, built an agency bigger than I ever did before. Got back, started hooking up with a company that we use for our CRM system. Realized they needed, a sales proponent. So we did a strategic partnership grew that company exponentially. And now we're a part of a software CRM company. Built a relationship with that company strong over the years, that I had a concept for our own software that's going to be launching soon. It's been in the development for the last 18 months that automates your hiring process. It's called Jarvie, like Jarvis from Iron Man. Automates your hiring process, automates your training process, automates the role play process, automates the interview process, puts it on autopilot, auto schedules, does everything, get your resumes. And then there's going to be AI. We got AI built into it. So you can have an AI HR manager, ask any questions, build your job ads for you, and off to the races. So we built that, brought that to life. And that's where I thrive as a creator, a visionary, and I love doing it. So I was in this place of fear, just leaned in, did what I did best. And I just hustled and hustled and hustled and hustled. Got that company about to launch, started stacking and racking, like a mentor of mine, Bobby Castro, says, you know, take your capital, put it in the real estate, acquired about 15 million in real estate between commercial properties, and started getting into Airbnb because I wanted to do lifestyle businesses. I could rent out an Airbnb, build equity in real estate, have it cash flow pretty darn good. And then when they're not renting out, use them with our family and integrate it into our lives. So we got Airbnbs all the way up and down the East Coast, all the way from New York to Carolinas, to Virginia, to Florida, Texas. We got to started doing that in the real estate game. And then all of my companies have always been a big heart for impact. Served on the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club for quite some time, scholarship funds we've done in my brother's name, a lot of impact projects, and, you know, always a big believer in tithing, but, you know, I might tithe a little bit different than other people. Some people just give 10% to the church. I feel that there's nobody, because I've built a skill set to be good with money, and there's no better steward of my money than me. So I started to, you know, give back, but to control the give back. So we build give back proponents into all of our businesses, even team hired. We'd invest resources, time, money, energy, helping veterans, helping at-risk youth, show up for interviews, doing different things. And anytime I would realize that it was in this place of giving, like life just felt so much better. Like I wasn't stressed. I was just like in this great place. And started to invest a lot into mentorship and going to conferences, and met a lot of great mentors. Cole Hatter was in a number of masterminds. And then all of a sudden he introduced me to Tim Story. We were life coaching for a few months, built a friendship. And during one of the calls, you know, I'm just talking about and thinking about, reflecting on how my life changed by all these people, all these mentors. And wow, imagine if I had that when I was a kid. Light bulb goes off. And I call it a God idea. And I'm like, what if we had a mastermind for kids? He's like, I love that idea. And he goes, if you were to put something together like that, I'm in. I want to partner with you, be your business partner. So I started running 100 miles an hour, putting together a brand, doing it. And that's where the Fifth Degree Academy was born. All these relationships, $500,000 in mentorship that I did over a decade. I wanted to take these relationships and bring them to other kids that maybe need it. They didn't have a dad, they didn't have a mentor, they didn't have the right path. And a lot of these things, you know, again, not knocking the school system, it's just lacking in the school system, or we need more of it in the school system. Had this idea for it, and then we had to come up with, well, how are we going to get the word out there at first? We got to do something big. And then that's where the Elevate experience was born. I decided, you know what, let's throw a crazy event. Let's take all the speakers. Let's reach out to all of them. And let's just say we want to, you know, impact as many hearts and minds as possible and pour into our youth. That's where we got some of the biggest speakers behind us, like in the world, that I've been blessed to build friendships with, that are now a part of this. And we're doing a free 2-day live event to pour into youth, our next generation. And we're going to break history. We're going to make history. We're going to break a Guinness World Record around financial literacy. I couldn't think of a better way to spread the word out there. And I'd say another thing too, another driver behind it, you know, there's that, there's me as the kid, the old Dave Williams that needed this program. There's my brother that could have saved his life. And then I look at the state of America, and those that know me sometimes, like, you know, I'm not going to get into politics on here, but know that our country needs help. I think everybody can agree with that. We've been more divided than we've ever been. We're still the greatest country on earth. I still believe that in my heart of hearts, believe. And, but there's a lot of thing out there. And I believe it all stems from leadership. And I believe it all stems up. We stopped looking up to God, and we started looking up to these politicians and the mainstream media, and we're putting our faith into them instead of him. And I hear from a lot of people all the time, well, I don't talk about it. I don't do it. because there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can control. Well, while I got everybody's attention here, I'm going to tell you everything, because I'm trying to spread this message far and wide. We can 100% control it, because one of the reasons we are where we're at is silence. The cure to everything that's going on in this country, the divisiveness and everything else, it's one simple thing: literally insisting on personal excellence in every one of our lives, every one of us, and stepping up, being in better health. In a world where it's not knocking, hey, you know what? There's some people out there that have health challenges, they're obese, whatever. That's not knocking that whatsoever, but we're sensationalizing it and teaching our kids that they should be this way. They should be unhealthy. They have like environment that they should be unhealthy. We're teaching them, to be traditional values as a man. That's not okay anymore. We're taking God out of the schools. We're taking God out of the world. And you're looking at this formula. And then, you know what? We shouldn't have to work hard. We should be handed everything. And you know what? That is, to me, all the things that we're putting out there, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, just by society and today's standard, it's creating almost lives for a lot of kids and a lot of people out there. You look at statistics don't lie. Look at the data. 1.5 million youth are homeless every year. We're medicating kids at an epidemic rate, way higher than it was ever when I was a kid. Over 30% of kids in school are being medicated. Over 30% of kids. 1 in 3 kids being medicated. You're telling me it's that bad? I'll tell you right now, there's a different solution than that. Some kids need medication, but not 1 in 3. And in addition to that, they surveyed kids when they graduate. Over 90% of them felt like they're ill prepared for life and they're scared to start life. So what happens when you're in a place of fear and life comes? You start making bad life decisions, or maybe you do things that get you in the debt trap and you do them for the wrong reason. You go, you know what? I'm going to go to college because I can delay starting life 3 to 4 years. And I'm not knocking college at all. I think it's great. You want to be a doctor? I think that you just go to college and be very intentional to get an ROI. But kids don't even know what an ROI is, return on investment. And that's for a reason, because back when the school system was influenced by one of our biggest influencers, Rockefeller, he put millions upon millions of dollars in the school system. And he said he didn't want doers, didn't want critical thinkers, did not want entrepreneurs. What did he want? Wanted consumers, workers, and people that just kind of followed suit. So they didn't inherently teach a lot of the fundamentals that built the recipe for success. And there's so many people out there that are having an almost life, and I believe every kid deserves the opportunity to have an utmost life. You look at also the statistics, 25 and under, they all have subprime credit scores over 80%. It's almost 80% of kids, 25 and under, subprime credit scores, and they're paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because we're teaching the American dream is go out and get a $100,000 degree, go out, get the new Mercedes, get the home, and you're living your dream. Well, are you really living your dream if you're having to work just to pay for those things, and then that is your life, and you just have to go paycheck to paycheck, and the second you stop working, it all goes away? But what if you taught kids a different way? What if you taught kids, hey, instead of buying the first home, maybe be a little bit patient, buy a duplex, take advantage of a first home buying program with nobody down, live in one half, Airbnb the other. Now turn your home and your property into an income stream that pays for the Mercedes, that pays for the iPhone. And now you don't have that debt trap that you're stuck underneath. You want to go to school? Do it with very, very clear intention and make an investment in yourself that's going to do a return. My brother-in-law chose to put a big investment in himself, $250,000 to become an attorney, but he's crushing it. But he did it with very deliberate intention. Right. Too many people are going out there, oh, I'm going to spend $150,000 on a liberal arts degree.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I'm trying to go in life.
You can't go to college and figure it out.
You can't just go there and figure it out, blindfold yourself. I know you're living in Vegas, and then spin the roulette wheel and see where life's going to take me. Like, that's not a good recipe. So our kids need the formula. They need the roadmap. They need the compass. I looked at it, man, I failed more times in my life than a lot of people that I've ever met. And I figured if kids could learn from my failures, and I can bring some of these other people around that have built incredible lives and we could pour into people, imagine building an army of world shakers. You know, if we change one kid's life, I think that's all it takes sometimes, because look at how one person can change the world, from Martin Luther King to Mother Teresa. If one Mother Teresa was born out of this, it could shift our society forever. And I think that's where we got to put our kids' attention, about really intentional about creating that right life early. And that's what this program's all about. And I know I said a lot there, and I said all that really to say this. Let's join this, let's create an educational movement. Like there's
Mhm.
nobody. You want to see what can you do for America? Let's all stand together and help our next generation get back on the beaten path they need to be, get back on their yellow brick road. And that's what's going to make, we're already great, but that's what's going to make our country greater than it ever was.
How can everyone support this movement? Is it just attend, just be there on the 18th?
Yeah, just show up.
Now, since this is going to be on YouTube, what can they do after if they're watching this and it's September, it's October?
Yeah,
What
no,
what?
absolutely. So this is just it's a free 2-day live event. Obviously, we're gonna have a recording out there people can get after, but it's really spread awareness around our educational mastermind, the Fifth Degree Academy, where this is going to be a year-long program, and we've had so many people that are looking to attend this event. Well, what is it after? Like, I feel like I don't have a tribe, and I'm already seeing this through this community build. I want to be around like-minded kids, and parents want to be around like-minded parents. How can this continue on? Well, we're gonna have the mastermind going 12 months after this. And it's super affordable. And then we have a buy one bless one component. Somebody can come in for every paid membership. We're gifting a membership to an at-risk youth or somebody at a Boys and Girls Club to impact. And then we have a no kid left behind mantra. If there's really any family out there that's in financial need and they want to be a part of this and the kid's committed to learn, we will never turn a kid down. We have a grant program that can fill it out, and we'll gift the membership and grant the membership to those that are in need. Because that's my goal with this. While it's a for-profit business, it needs to be, I believe, to grow it, because it's very tough to grow nonprofits because you're just constantly depending on donors and asking and asking. Nothing wrong with nonprofits. It's just going to be a bear. I know how to build profitable businesses. It's in my wheelhouse. Can scale it that way. You use the money as fuel to scale it and impact more. But we're going to be doing a ton of giving along the way. Probably the majority of our web membership, we're going to be gifting out to impact those that really need it the most. But yeah, www.elevate.kids is our event. 18th, 19th, 19th, breaking a world record. And then after that, it's the Fifth Degree Academy, myself, Tim Story, and some of the greatest minds that we're going to continuously bring into the program to pour into our youth of the future.
Man, this is amazing, brother. So, quick question: if you had to slap, I know, if you had to slap an age group that this will provide the most value for, I don't have any kids yet, so I'm thinking about my nieces. And is there a specific age group that you think that
It's
this will
really
cater
like
to the most?
preteen all the way up to adult. So we continue, we allow parents to go in with the kids to learn alongside of one another. The message is going to be tailored in a way that resonates with kids, teens, parents too.
Okay.
And we're looking for that, even if it's not a parent, maybe it's an aunt or uncle, whoever's in their life, to be a part of it. This could be interactive too. You might have somebody like a big time philanthropist that comes in and teaches, and then we got a work guide where they can go out with their parents and actually commit acts of philanthropy in the community. And then they got to report back on it by the next call, what it felt like in their heart and what they're going to do going forward to continue the philanthropy efforts. We got like Tim Story coming in and speaking how to not sit in your setbacks and have the best comeback of your life, no matter where you're at. And then we're going to talk about core values. So we're going to give activities for parents and kids can go home together and determine what are the household core values we want to live by. And that could be different person to person. For us, let's put God first in everything that we do. A Williams never quits. A Williams always finds a way. We show up. We don't make excuses. We live by integrity. So I think we're going to teach them how to have that. And it's not just parents holding kids accountable to those core values, but it's kids holding parents. And we want to have that there because sometimes life gets busy and we forget about these things and the blinders go on, and it can disrupt that base foundation that leads in utmost life for most families. And we want to help them solidify that foundation, help them discover their purpose, their why, their mission in life, so we can we can go out there and impact, change the world together.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I've got a few questions for you, and then we'll wrap this up. The first question that came to me while you were telling me some of your story was, how did you know to trust what was next in your journey? Because it seems like you hit a crossroads a few times, and what were some of the things that helped you decide what was, or not to decide, but to trust what was next?
I think it was always faith. It's brought up Christian, brought up in the church. My dad was strong in faith, read the Bible. I don't know, he's read it more than a dozen times. And I think really to trust faith over fear, because you look in the Bible, there's no coincidence. I think that it actually mentions fear 365 days in the Bible. And then in Joshua, I think it's Joshua 1:9, it says, fear not, for I'm with you. Mm. And I think what it, says along that whole theme there is, every day there's going to be fears that we face, but if we put our faith in our Savior above and we believe in him, that, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. So I always leaned into my faith and tried to suppress fear. And I believe that muscle grew over time. And then when I realized that, hey, when I pray, sometimes it's coming in the form of opportunities. And I started to be deliberate about paying attention to that and drowning out the fear. Because to me, it was actually to listen to the fear and go down to the path of where the fear would take me was more fearful to me than anything else. Because, okay, if I listen to all these people and I'm not academically strong, I don't want to live this life that they're painting the picture on me. If I listen to these people, I'll never play for my high school team, never play college baseball. I don't want that life. It was just all these different labels that were just they were not congruent with my heart, where I wanted to be. And it was more fearful that my life would turn out that way in congruency with the labels that people tried to place. Even my health, like I found mentors when it came to that. I finally got money. My health kept getting worse and worse, even as an entrepreneur. I built all this with, tons of health issues. I still deal with the challenges today, but I started to obsess looking for answers because I didn't want to keep living life sick. Found doctor after doctor after doctor, started doing blood testing, heavy metal testing, gut health testing, hormone testing, every testing under the sun, looking at and treating my body like a business. Started doing eating super, super clean, started doing supplements, cold plunges, infrared sauna, PEMF mats, and started obsessing over health the same way I obsessed in my business and everything else. And here I am. Doctor said, oh, you're going to be on disability your whole life. You're going to be on meds your whole life. Well, guess what? I'm not on a single medication now. I'm in one of the best shapes of my life. My symptoms are down. I have to work for it every day. I have to fight for it every day. I have to maintain the discipline in my diet every day, but it's far better than the alternative. And so I trusted in that scenario too, faith over fear.
I love it. I think a lot of times when opportunities are presented to us, if we dissect it hard enough, we can talk ourselves out of it. Mm-hmm. We get on that Google search and we start looking into whatever that opportunity might be, and so many people just talk themselves out of blessing.
Well, yeah, and then you got the force of mediocrity around you, right? Because most people in life, there's a mediocre mindset. So you got to, oh, don't do that. Oh, that's not going to work. And oh, don't do that. Don't do this. And then so often than not, we listen to those 5 people we surround ourselves with. And I think most of the average people, including myself at many times in my life, we surround ourselves with those wrong people. We love them as, and I'm not talking about family, but I'm talking about peers. We love them as friends, but they might not necessarily be destined to the same path that we're all trying to go. And at some point, I think we got to come to realize that you have to be there. There's an unintentional peer group and there's an intentional peer group. The unintentional are the ones maybe you grow up with, you all kind of come together. You're in the same neighborhood, same community, go to school together. But at some point in life, you start to have different ambitions and different dreams. And then that's when I think you got to explore that intentional peer group where you got an army of people that are on the same level, and you got a good mix of, hey, people are right below you that are trying to get to the same place you're trying to go, people that are on the same wavelength as you, level to level, eye to eye, trying to get to where you want to go. And then you got people that are giants already that have gone to the places that you're trying to go. And sometimes the best way to get to where you want to go is standing on the shoulder of giants that have already gotten there.
Yeah. Well, hey, brother, before I get into my last question, I just want to acknowledge you. Man, there's nobody that I've seen grow more than you. Every time you have an idea, I see it just manifest and it continues to grow. And I don't see anybody that takes as much action as you on these ideas. And so, like,
thank you, brother.
This fifth degree was a conversation I think we had almost a year ago, and to see it, form. Same thing with Team Hired. I remember your first hiring event, out of your office, and then what that's expanded to, the juggernaut. I mean, it helps so many agents. So I just want to acknowledge you, man. You've been an inspiration to me. You've always taken my calls. You've always, given me advice. And
Thank you,
so
brother.
thank you for that, brother. Thank you.
No, likewise,
Uh,
man. Appreciate you. I'm grateful to have you in my life too, man.
yes, sir. And then, so my last question is, this series is called A1 Agents. And I like to ask this question. A1, when I looked up the definition, is to the highest of standards. And so I like to ask everybody, what are 3 standards that you live your life by?
Yeah, I'd say 3 standards I live my life by is, one is really embracing faith. I'd say the next one is I try to take all the important pillars like family, freedom, finances, fitness, um, all those things, and operate in the highest level of personal excellence behind them. And I'd say the last one is like, we all got a time where this thing we call life comes to an end, and we're going to meet our maker. And then a mentor of mine once told me he believes, and I believe the same thing true, Ed Milet, that one day we're going to go up to the pearly gates and we're going to be shown 2 things. We're going to be shown who we were and who we could have been.
Hmm.
And who we were, and then our maximum potential, who I could have been. And I guess for me, just like Ed said, I want to be as close to an identical twin of that perfect image of myself. And nobody's perfect, but that's the person that I'm chasing, to leave a legacy on this earth far after I'm gone, for my son, my family, that lives on far after I turn to dust. I guess those are the 3 things in me.
I love it. Well, thank you, Dave. I appreciate you. Thanks for your time. I'm excited for August 18th and 19th. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
have a
no, pump, man. Everybody, I need your help. www.elevate.kids, because we're going to break the world record anyways, but I don't want to just break it. I'm not a minimum kind of guy. I want to get 10,000 humans that we want to touch, 10,000 views into this, because I know there'll be a kid that was thinking about going down and having an almost life. There's going to be a kid that was thinking about suicide. There's going to be a kid thinking about joining a gang. There's going to be a kid that was thinking about giving up. And these speakers have a gift. And there could be, if we save one kid, and the more kids we have here, the higher potential of saving kids. But if we have this event big, it's going to show all the stewards and everybody that put their trust in us in this conference that we were a good steward of their time, and they're going to come back to do more. So I look at it, there's 1 million+ kids that are on the line by having this event there. And that's where I got to count on you to please show up, be a part of this. You're going to learn a lot. We're going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of giveaways, and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity where we get to make history together.
Yes, sir.